Welcome back, guys. This week we are returning to World War II with another Crossfire wargame. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, do please like and subscribe so that you don't miss out in the future, and also join us on Facebook so that you can always be kept updated on what's going on and share what you're working on. So for those of you that haven't played Crossfire, it is a company up to battalion game. Really, it depends on the size of table that you have available as to how many troops you can fit on. But it's very quick, it's very fast, and one of the big things, you don't need a tape measure, just a couple of D6s, so it's very simple to get into. Also, if you would like to support me and the channel, head over to my Ko-fi channel and make either a donation or buy one of the rule books that I work on. It all helps, and the money goes straight back into making more videos, buying more miniatures, and doing painting tutorials. Thanks, guys. So for our battle today, we're assuming it's a couple of days after the breakout from Normandy, and the British forces are pushing inland, and the Germans are trying to counterattack and keep them back. So it's a relatively sort of flat northern France battlefield, quite a few hedgerows and a little village. There's also a railway line that runs the whole width of the map. So this time, this is our second battle, so we thought we'd increase the scale a little bit, but not too much. You might also notice that between last time and today I have printed out and laminated these little markers, just so that it's easier to see what we're dealing with, because they are quite small. So the British have just a bog standard para company with a couple of battalion assets in the form of extra machine guns, and they've been supported by a reinforced Sherman tank troop. As for the Germans, they've just got a regular Heer infantry company, a couple of battalion machine guns and anti-tank crews as well, helping them out. They're also lucky enough to have two Panzer IVs as their support options. Also, they have called in, or they've purchased with some of their points, additional heavy artillery bombardments ×2. So what are the objectives? The objectives are pretty simple for this one. We've got two of them. Firstly, we've got the town. We're assuming that both sides feel it's quite a strategic village that needs to be occupied because it controls the main road, bridge crossing the railway line. So both sides need to get and hold that, the Germans to prevent the Allies breaking out further, and the Allies so that they can. The second is the rail junction at the bottom of the map. Again, supply issues, so both sides need to try and make sure that that is either kept intact or destroyed, as the case may be.
So the British have won the initiative, and so they've deployed, and they have one platoon on the right. They've got their command element in the centre, and then their remaining two infantry platoons and tank platoon on the left, with the objective of taking and holding the village. Whilst the Germans have got one platoon on their left. They've got their forward observer and a couple of sections in the centre. They've got a Panzer IV on the road, then they've got a platoon and another Panzer IV, and then a final platoon on their right. Move their armour forwards. One did come into line of fire of the Panzer IV, who fired and missed. Other than that, the British are just moving up and are not visible at this stage. The Boer moved up to the hedgerow, and the Sherman tank fired, and it just pinged off. For the Germans, they've moved their platoon up on their left, just stopping short. In the centre, we called in a heavy artillery barrage onto the British troops that were coming up. First one missed, or wasn't called in. It was being used elsewhere. The second one managed to land, suppressing all of the infantry, taking out the Firefly and pinning the two other Shermans. Unfortunately, prior to that, one of the Panzer IVs got knocked out by the Sherman. The first platoon has moved up to the town. A few teams are in the cornfield, and the second platoon and the Panzer IV have moved up on the right. He's just moved up their infantry and Panzer IV, and with a command order they all fired on to the Sherman and all missed, losing the initiative for the Germans, but at the same time they had moved the infantry in to occupy the buildings. The second artillery barrage and mortars basically pinned or suppressed pretty well the whole central platoon, command, troop, and the tanks in the centre.
Okay.
And now the British are advancing on German right. Attempt to do some rallying in them of suppression. So a quick catch up for the Germans. They've moved up to the wood line, and the British moved up to the other, so there's a bit of a firefight between them. In the centre, the Firefly and the Sherman next door have been knocked out. This Sherman has just driven up, and the Germans tried a shot, but it pinged off. The final Sherman is immobilised, so it can fire, but it can't move anywhere. In the centre, we started to move up with our MG team, and it got suppressed. We hold the town, and we've got one platoon just waiting on the wing, ready to move when it's needed. For the British, they've got one platoon again, holding out. The centre is a bit of a mess with suppression and pins. They got hit by artillery barrage and mortars, whilst on the right-hand side they are pushing on, still in reasonable order. So the Germans had just lost their initiative, but the platoon fired and was able to wipe out the platoon scouts and platoon leader from the British here. Earlier in the turn, the Panzer IV swung around the corner and fired into the flank of the Sherman in the town, destroying it. Mortar had damaged a few units in the centre. The Piet team was knocked out, and the command infantry squad was knocked out also. So at the end of the game, it ended in a German minor victory. The British decided they would try and do a charge across the train tracks to try and get to the town, but they ended up getting pinned down, unfortunately, by mortars and machine gun fire. In the centre, the Germans held the town. A Sherman did make it in, but was taken out. On the right, the British troops got pinned down and pretty well destroyed by a combination fire of machine gun, Panzer IV and platoon fire. And in the centre, just slowly but surely after two artillery barrages, again the British troops just got pounded, suppressed, and so they decided that at this stage they would be trying to withdraw, so the game came to an end. From the start, when it looked like the Germans were going to lose when their first Panzer got taken out, it turned out into quite a good end for the Germans, not so good for the Brits this time.
So I hope that you enjoyed the battle. Do please leave some comments down below as to how you thought it went, what we could have done better or worse. If you have played Crossfire before, again, leave some comments and let us know what you thought of it. Did you think it's good? Do you think it could use something extra? I think it's a really great little game. I'm not sure if it's my favourite ever, but it is very fun, especially the sort of the quick going backwards and forwards. I really enjoy that aspect of it. So yeah, you will definitely be seeing more battles to come. Anyway guys, I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you have a great week, or however long it is until you see the next video. Cool, see you then.